When we think about stadiums in India, it's easy to just see them as places to watch a game, right? Well, today, we're going to look at how these massive structures are so much more than that. Let's dive in.
So let me ask you this. What really makes a stadium beautiful? Is it the slick architecture, the sheer size, the perfect view from your seat? It's a fascinating question because it kind of forces us to look beyond just the concrete and steel. We see stadiums as these functional buildings, but what if their real beauty, their true value, is something else entirely?
And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. In India, these grandstands are much more than venues. They're basically monuments, reflections of the nation's very soul. And that's the lens we're going to be using as we explore some of the country's most incredible stadiums. Okay, so when I say monument, what exactly do I mean? Well, for our purposes today, just think of it as a structure that wraps up three huge things all in one. That collective passion of the fans, the nation's architectural ambition, and a deep sense of cultural identity. Keep those three things in mind as we jump into our first theme. First up, monuments of scale and ambition. This is all about how modern India is building things that aren't just big. They are massive, powerful statements to the rest of the world. 130,000. Just let that number sink in for a second. That is the unbelievable capacity of the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. A number that big isn't just about putting more seats in, it's about dreaming on an absolutely epic scale.
And what's so cool is how they did it. I mean, sure, it's the largest cricket stadium on the planet, but look at that circular layout. It was designed so that there are literally no pillars blocking your view. There's not a single bad seat in the house. This isn't just a building. It's a shining example of India's power to build world-class, state-of-the-art infrastructure.
But you know, this incredible ambition isn't just reserved for cricket. So let's switch from the sound of a leather ball on a willow bat to the deafening roar of a football crowd, because another giant of a stadium is waiting for us in Kolkata.
And when you put these two side by side, it really tells a story. On one hand, you've got this global powerhouse for cricket, and on the other, you have the absolute heart and soul, the epicenter of Indian football. Both are monuments to scale for sure, but they represent the passionate souls of two completely different sports, acting as cultural touchstones for millions.
All right, now let's make a shift. We're going to move from the brand new and the massive to the old and the legendary. We're talking about the stadiums whose real beauty comes from the sheer weight of history and the iconic moments that are literally baked into their walls.
I mean, just look at these dates. 1864? Are you kidding me? We're going all the way back to the 19th century here. This timeline just shows you how deep the roots of Indian cricket really go. These aren't just old fields, they're historic sites where the story of a nation's favorite sport has been written for over a century.
And this quote about Eden Gardens, it says everything. The Mecca of Indian cricket. But why? Well, it's not just the history. It's the atmosphere. An energy so intense, so legendary. They say the roar of the crowd can be heard all across Kolkata. It's a genuine place of pilgrimage for cricket fans everywhere.
And here we have two absolute icons, but each has its own completely unique personality. You've got Eden Gardens, defined by that colonial past and its legendary crowd noise. Then you have Firoza Shah Kotla, whose identity is tied right into the ancient history of Delhi itself, sitting next to a historic fort. Both are legends, but for totally different, fascinating reasons.
You know, sometimes a stadium's entire legacy is forged in one single glorious moment. And that's exactly the story of Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium. It's a place that will forever be linked with one of the greatest triumphs in Indian sports history, that epic 2011 Cricket World Cup final. That victory turned the stadium into a monument of national pride almost overnight.
Okay, so we've looked at massive scale, we've looked at deep history. Now for our third theme, passion and progress. These are the stadiums that really capture the spirit of modern India through innovation, sustainability, and a whole new kind of fan culture.
And honestly, there's no better place to see this in action than in Bengaluru, India's tech capital. It just makes sense that its stadium, the M. Chinnaswamy, mirrors the city's own forward-thinking, innovative identity.
This place is such a perfect example because it brings together three really important things. First, you have one of the most famously passionate fan bases in all of cricket. Second, it was a pioneer, one of the first stadiums in the country to go solar. And third, it's got this smart green design. It's not just a place to play, it's a blueprint for the future.
And this idea of progress isn't just happening in one city. You could see the diversity of modern venues all across the country,
from huge multi-purpose arenas like the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium to stadiums in stunningly beautiful locations like the Greenfield Stadium. Each one tells a unique story about modern Indian sport.
So, we've talked about scale, we've talked about history, and we've talked about progress. Let's pull it all together and really think about what these incredible structures represent when you look at them as a whole, as the nation's grandstand.
When you get right down to it, these stadiums are so much more than just concrete and steel, aren't they? As we've seen, they are massive stages for national pride. They're symbols of progress. They are the keepers of our collective memories. And maybe most importantly, they are arenas where millions of people come together to share a passion that unites every single one of them.
And really, that's the big takeaway here. These aren't just places where games happen. They are monuments. Monuments to the shared collective experience of an entire nation, cheering together, winning together, and even losing together. So, we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. If the walls of Eden Gardens or Wankhede or the Narendra Modi Stadium could actually talk, what kind of stories would they tell about a nation's journey, its passions, and its biggest dreams? Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer.